Okay, I'll be presenting on Pablo Picasso and Cubism. So first, what is Cubism? It's believed to have been invented anywhere from 1907 to 1911, and this movement was centered in France. There are two types, analytical and synthetic Cubism. Analytical was the first, which was favored up to 1912, and this is defined as a part by part, viewpoint by viewpoint dissection of the project. Synthetic is after 1912, and this is defined as the construction or invention of representational signs using elementary and sometimes geometric shapes. Alright, so Picasso is believed to be the inventor of Cubism, but he worked alongside Georges Braque, Juan Gris, and Fernand Léger, and they worked around the same time experimenting with Cubism. The contemporaries of the Cubists, they looked down on the work since there were so many different Cubists working and they didn't really have any uniformity. And Picasso's early Cubism was based off of African sculptures. Picasso helped synthetic Cubism become the leading form. While he made Cubism before synthetic was truly established, his work was never purely analytical. Picasso ushered in synthetic cubism when he glued a factory-made piece of oilcloth printing with a realistic chair caning pattern onto a small still life. This encouraged a lot more cubists to create these collages. And these collages, they showed the cubists the range of spatial effects made possible and the range of reference allowed by the insertion of words into fragments from the real world, which led to paradoxical, highly subtle, and complex results. Picasso changed Cubism from being based off the study of a subject to a more purely inventive and free of such primary study. So the first work of Picasso's is this. I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name of it. This is believed to be the first Cubist art ever created. It was created in 1907. It was highly controversial because of the way Picasso depicted the women and their bodies. And you can see the cubism in it off of the many different shapes and how Picasso uses that to create different perspective. So the second one is the still life with chair caning. This was created in spring of 1912, which helped Picasso change cubism from analytical to synthetic. You can see the caning and how it creates a contrast in the art. And you can also see the many different shapes Picasso puts in there. And finally, one of Picasso's more famous paintings called Guernica. This was created in 1937, and you can see all the different shapes Picasso breaks the painting down into and the different perspectives this gives the painting. Alright, so some background on Pablo Picasso. He was born October 25th in 1881 in Malaga, Spain. He got art lessons from his father as a kid, and his father was an artist and a teacher. They moved to Barcelona in 1895, where he was encouraged to go to art school. But in 1898, he became sick and spent a lot of time by himself. And when he became healthy, he decided that he didn't want to go to art school. His blue period was 1901 to 1904. This was because a friend of his committed suicide. In 1904, he moved to Paris, which was his rose period. All right. So again, that the first painting that I discussed, this was one of his famous works at the time. It was very controversial. His early work in Cubism wasn't understood too well. He used Cubism to show multiple views of an object on one piece of paper. And he also used his art to combat fascism during World War II, which was what he did with Guernica, which depicted the Spanish War going on at the time. His work wasn't truly appreciated until the 1980s, after he had died already. By the time he died, he had over 50,000 pieces of art created, and he died April 8th in 1973. So those influenced by Picasso were a lot of American artists, such as Jackson Pollock on the left, Roy Lichtenstein in the middle, and Jasper Johns on the right. So Jackson Pollock, this is called Water Bowl. He made this in 1946, which is based off of Guernica. You can see it has almost like somewhat of the same outline, but it's more in Jackson Pollock's abstract art. Roy Lichtenstein, this is called Modern Art 1 from 1996. He was said to have been obsessed with Picasso and wanted to become more than just a student. You can see the different shapes and viewpoints in Lichtenstein's pop art style. And then Jasper Johns is called Untitled, which was created in 2017. And he created many variations of Picasso's art. And you can see the face of the character at the left looks similar to many of Picasso's different characters. You also see the different shapes he puts in. Then this is the works cited.